Recording session 3/30/2017, which was a Thursday. Breaking down the SPY long-term and long-term uptrend. It's demonstrated by higher highs, higher lows. SPY is, of course, the ETF for the S&P 500. Coming to the intermediate term, we had a gap up at all-time highs, pulled back through a prior support level to the other side of the Keltner channel, touched the 50-period moving average, which is typically a buy point for institutions, and now closing back up in this prior support area. So looks as if the uptrend is still continuing. Moving to the top two pre-market movers. Top two pre-market movers, BVXV. So this is a penny stock biotech. Big picture is kind of a dull, some days just like no volume, right? And then on this one day, like a million shares gets done. So, overall this is kind of a liquid stock, but at least has a couple million shares when it's in play. So the big picture is just kind of a penny stock that just doesn't do any fucking volume. But, former runner as demonstrated by this day. So we, gap up to 52-week highs in pre-market. Coming over here. So, kind of going parabolic kind of in this pre-market. And we change the character, before the open. So, one could have taken a perhaps opening range sell, if you really wanted to, but you didn't get a tight opening range, but you could have been short below this pre-market low, so we had to change the character, lower high, lower high. So not really a good low risk entry. Let's go down to the 1 minute chart. So, kind of a liquid, so maybe you could call this like, a little 2-bar pullback. But, that was kind of the thought process, is that we, kind of get this opening range sideways and then maybe pull back to that low. So since we had the change of character for pre-market. So there you go. Bingo bongo. All right. Okay. So BVXV, also IDXG. This is another penny stock. But former runner, so the big picture is, it's kind of going this low volatility. This thing, can definitely run when it catches volume. So former runner, former kind of pumper, dumper, kind of got pumped, but is, drifting way slowly. On the intermediate term, kind of looks like we're forming, maybe a little, a month and a half long base. There's kind of volume in the background here the past couple days. So I had an alert set at this 343 level, and so we were already trading above there in pre-market. So volume in the background, former runner coming off a base. I was, my first instinct was to think long. Check the pre-market. So it's healthcare, it's an in-play sector as well. So, so we're gapping up above that prior resistance level in pre-market, but we don't hold above that level, and we start, kind of oscillating around the level in pre-market and then change of character through it. Not my favorite trade since we're back inside that big basey range, so probably would have passed on this. But healthcare's in play. It's coming off a base. If we held higher, spent some more time above this level, that might have set up a good trade. So now that we covered that, jumping back into my regression, which is apparently what I've done. I guess I have this cycle of a few winning days, and then I start and it's just the nth time I've done this of deviating from a winning strategy. So I've been up since 5 a.m. Partially because I was drunk last night when I was trading. So am I like a self-defeater? It's just I don't want to see myself succeed. I don't know. But I keep doing things to not aid myself in my journey. So talk about the shitty things that I did yesterday in the trading session. So as you so aptly point out, RH, was trading a huge gap. So what's the first thing I do? I see Lulu trading in a 52-week lows, massive gap down. So we gap down 20%. And I think, oh yeah, this is the time to short. So it was one of the top pre-market movers as well. We had a nice downtrend off pre-market, and so Lulu is apparel, and this is a real, Lulu's obviously a real company that sells like actual stuff and not a penny stock. And maybe they reported earnings or something. I don't know. Worth checking out. But what I noticed is that checking the pre-market, this is kind of little pre-market resistance. We opened and we tested up and failed from the pre-market resistance that had a strong move down. I was playing for a bounce on the support level, for prior support to become resistance. So going down to the 1 minute chart. You kind of see it better from the pre-market. Let's go back there. So anyway, that was my thought process. But just already, I'm trading a huge gap, something that I historically don't have, success with. And so, there's a lot of mixed things that are going to happen when you start trading these huge gaps, like we talk about. There's the value buyers that come in, the shorts covering who might have been short from previously. So maybe new sellers coming in. So not really an area in which one side or the other is going to really show its hand and say, hey, we're stronger than buyers are stronger, sellers are stronger. So why I felt compelled to do this, why did I trade RH yesterday? I'm getting away from simple compression breakouts, which has been showing success for me. Okay, so yeah, so bad trade. On that same token, TTPH. So what's the big picture here? Healthcare is in play. TTPH going off in long sideways base, call this about 8-9 month base. On the long term, trading at 52-week highs intermediately, we have been in an uptrend as demonstrated by higher highs, higher lows, going sideways just underneath the all-time high. The volume is still kind of above average, but just going sideways here. Not tried to break out to all-time highs the prior day. Closed higher, but the volume wasn't really amazing. So, with that in mind, the trend is still up, so innocent until proven guilty. Going to the 1 minute chart. It's kind of like regression again, what's this? This is a gap up, go up. So, average range on TTPH is about 75 cents. So, even if I take the low of today and go to, what this move is like about 50 cents, I'm trying to buy, a pullback in after a 50-cent move in a stock that moves, 75 cents a day. So, also, this is gap up, spike up, pretty indicative of failure, not a good trade. I did see what I had done eventually to stop myself out once price got below VWAP. I had my stop much further away than that initially, so kind of caught myself in it. But gap up, spike up, terrible trade. So that's 0 for 2 for Sean so far. You asked me, did I trade AOI? Certainly did. But I didn't make money in it. So why is that? Well, maybe it's because I don't have a solid process for my entries. And, as Bella states in like one good trade of the playbook, like you can't just say, I know it when I see it. So AOI, real stock, 52-week high uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. Right side of the chart's higher than the left side. Tech sector, semiconductors have been in play. So what's been happening recently? Well, we broke out to all-time highs. Volume's still good. 2 overlapping days. Last day, narrow range inside days. So looking for a breakout. I think I was definitely guilty, at least in the setup that I sent you. I was very biased to the long side. So, we had pulled back kind of inside the Keltner band, or channel rather. But I definitely am guilty of having a bias of what I thought AOI should do. So, when price broke out lower, I wasn't prepared for that. So, it's also something, so just overall, my preparation for today was poor. My trading for today was poor. So, open flat. We kind of oscillate around the prior day's close, which is fine. So we're just kind of waiting for price to pick a direction. Mark the prior day's low. Just give us a little bit of context. So going back to the 1 minute chart. So, we open flat and kind of, make a strong thrust through the prior day's low, which is great. So, I thought maybe short on a pullback here, and I was a little late on my entry, but I still had a reasonable stop. And also another thing is that I was sized too big today. So where's the better trade? It's like, okay, what are my pieces of evidence? Sideways, get the thrust down, cool. See what happens the first test up. We try to test VWAP, right? So then we come back down. So now it's like thrust, lower lows, lower highs. Now we're making lower highs intraday. Like, oh shit, if I trade this, probably have a much higher probability trade than, something else. So just trading is waiting as you try to beat into my brain. This is at least after 10 o'clock. It is a full Covel. What's that level? That level is like a prior support level. The prior support level from the daily chart. So these like prior resistance levels. So we're thinking, prior resistance becomes support. Part of me, and this is not having a plan, was like, should I be buying this dip? Because that's certainly what other people were thinking. So you see, I had one of my largest losing days in a while. Why did that happen? Too big in Lulu, too big in AOI. So I was just about to say that in my yesterday video. It's like, shit, I haven't had just a monster losing day. I haven't had a day where I've hit my max stop loss in quite some time. And I'm glad I didn't put the curse, because it definitely would have made me feel like a hex myself. But so what were my problems today is that I fucking size too big. One, I'm trading shitty stocks, huge gaps, gap up, spike up, just all the crappy stuff that led to my failure in trading. It's pay per account, but I've been at least having some recent success. Why? Because I was trading good stocks, because I was taking layup entries, and at least I was trading. The AOI is a good stock, but if I wait for my spot and maybe pick a better spot to short. If I get stopped out here, maybe that's not the worst thing ever, but if I don't stop myself out for the day, I'm probably looking to trade this later when it sets up again. So, I'm okay with getting stopped out right here. That doesn't bother me. But what I am bothered by is my TTPH, my Lulu trade, my far too large size rather. So did want to see what Win was doing, because I kind of was thinking that. Okay, so as far as other stuff, Pulse. So what's the big picture in Pulse? This is a penny stock. It's basing for a long time. Basically since we IPO'd. It's going sideways. Recently, mega volumes come in, and uptrends demonstrated by higher highs, higher lows. So we had ultra wide range day, one of the widest ranges of days on the chart, with the highest volume on the chart, closing way down off the highs. So you're thinking maybe that's a huge piece of evidence for the backside. Kind of have this doji day. So next day, nothing really clear here. It's kind of holding around this close area. So we do try to break out the prior day's high the next day, and we don't see any continuation. So thought is, this is like a narrow range day too compared to these other days. So if you get above or below this, could be setting it for a breakout. Healthcare, obvious sectors in play. So open down, go up, kind of illiquid, but if you just follow the Covel, shorten any of these pops, you make a pretty penny today. So I don't know, man. I trade poorly, and as we're coming into the Friday, it's kind of like a lot of the sweet spots are coming together. So we got a Friday and the last day of the month. So just like shit like that, man. It's like Friday should be setting up good. I'll email you my top 2 ideas with a more succinct breakdown. Um, but yeah, I'm very upset about my trading the past couple of days. Am I getting in my own way? Yeah, but I should be able to trade better than that, and certainly shouldn't be regressing. So, yeah, there's really nothing to say except for you to ridicule me as I deserve. So, I'm not taking it seriously, so you shouldn't take me seriously either. All right, man.